Hi everyone. This is a video that I've been meaning to make for a really long time, and I just want to talk a little bit about myself so you understand the premise of it. Okay, so I am a clinical sexologist. I have a doctorate in human sexuality and been in practice for 8 years in Singapore. I also do a lot of workshops and events, speak at medical conferences, and I completed my master's in counseling last year, so I now also call myself a relationship counselor. So, relationship counselor and clinical sexologist. And in my personal life, I was single for a time. I am single again now. And I have been using dating apps for a long time. So you can, it's like Tinder, Bumble, OkCupid, Coffee Meets Bagel, Happen. So these are some of the common ones that people use. And I was asked this several years ago, what do I think about Tinder? And Tinder to me is just another means for people to connect with each other. And it's just like the worldwide world that we have. You need to use your discretion and discernment to decide whether this person is somebody you want to have a relationship with or friendship, and whether you want to let these people into your life. So Tinder is just another means of connecting people. And I don't think like Tinder, Bumble, OkCupid, all these different apps, they are more like this or more like that. Sure, people say that Tinder is for more for hookups. I think for Singapore, as at least the people that I've spoken to, doesn't seem to be that way, and it seems to be that way more in overseas. And I have seen people who are just looking for hookups on OkCupid as well. I have seen married people looking for friends on Happen as well. So I don't really have, and I think we shouldn't have misconceptions around, oh, this app is only for this, and therefore I shouldn't be on this. And because, for instance, one person told me, oh, the perception is Tinder is for hookups, and so I don't have the power to say no to sex if I don't want to because I met them on Tinder. No, it's not true. You meet someone and then you still have your sovereign right to your body on whether you say yes or no to sex. Whether you are looking to hook up, whether you're looking for friends, whether you are looking for a long-term partner, this is your life. You get to be in charge of it and don't let one app take your power away from you. So, without further ado, what are the three questions that I would suggest to my friends and now suggesting to you that you could ask if you're looking for a long-term partner on dating apps? So I just put that Tinder because that's the one that most people are familiar with, but everywhere, anywhere. I think with dating apps, people are just much more straightforward and don't believe everything everybody says at face value just because they say I'm open to a relationship, and then later you start dating this person and then you realize that actually they are not really open to a relationship even though they say they are. So don't just take everything that they say at face value. Okay, give yourself time to really get to know someone. Okay, so what are the three questions to ask when seeking a long-term partner? So say, for instance, you meet someone online, you see their face, swipe right if you like them, swipe left if you don't like them. So there's a match, they like you, you like them. What happens? Besides the small talk of, hi, how was your day? What did you do today? How was your weekend? How's work? Besides all these little small talk, which we need actually to soften the whole thing, make it more like a dialogue and conversation and not an interrogation. So besides the small talk, so these are the three questions I generally invite my friends or people who ask me for advice to ask. So the first question is, are you based in Singapore or whatever city that you're in? I'm in Singapore. My friends are asking me advice from Singapore. Are you based in Singapore? So if they are not in Singapore, they are passing through Singapore, they're on a holiday in Singapore, or they are using Tinder Premium, where they can set the settings such that they're actually not in Singapore, but they're starting to look for people in Singapore because they are planning to visit Singapore in a few weeks. Then this person may not be somebody that you even want to be in a relationship or continue talking with, because you are looking, if you are looking for a long-term partner, then that doesn't fulfill your criteria of actually being in a long-term relationship with somebody in Singapore. Unless you want long-distance relationship, that's another thing. But most people, as you know, in a long-term relationship, long-distance relationship, there are lots of challenges. So first question, are you based in Singapore? If this is important to you, the person is not in Singapore, just unmatch them. Don't go into explaining to them, I'm sorry, you're not in Singapore. Guess what? The person will try to change your mind. The person will shame you. What's wrong with you? You know, distance shouldn't be a barrier to love. Don't need to get into a philosophical discussion debate about your needs, wants, and desires. Don't bother. Seriously, they are just really just trying to convince you to continue talking to them. Don't waste your time. So first one is, are you based in my city? The second question is, what do you do for a living? And I know some people don't really want to go into so much about their work, but I think it's important, if you are planning to have a long-term relationship with someone, to know a little bit about their background and their passions, because work is a big part of who we are, and also whether they even have a job in the first place. You may want to think twice about getting into a relationship with someone who's still a student, who probably in Singapore for the next 6 months and planning to leave. So even and also their response tells you a lot about who they are. If they have something to hide, or if they're not comfortable telling you too much about what they do. So asking them what they do for a living does make a difference. I personally want to know, if I'm planning to go into a relationship with someone, I want to know that they are in a stable job, and been even if they're not local, that they've been in Singapore for a while, that they've gotten that maybe yellow fever out of their system, if they have the yellow fever. The third thing is, I would ask them is what you're looking for. If they say that they are looking for friends only, if they say they're looking for friendship first in view of a long-term relationship, if they say that they are looking for something more serious, if they are looking to date in view of marriage, very few people would say that. A lot of people just say they're looking to find a partner or something. So something more along those lines, then that would be good. So this is the third question. If somebody says that they are just out of a relationship, if they say that they are separating, or just separated, or separated for 1 year, unless the relationship is truly over, no, they are not ready. They may say that they are ready because, they think that they are ready. They say that because they think that they are ready. But do you honestly want to be their guinea pig? Do you want to be their stepping stone to their next relationship? Somebody who I met, who was in a long-term relationship, I think like 20 years, and it's been date for like 5 years, started to date, but actually their baggage was still there. And so I became their punching bag, like a lot of their issues came up, like, I want to make sure you're not like that. So they still have a lot of pain, because even though they they say that they've been separated, but actually it's not really truly over for this person. So be smarter than that. Really get a sense of it. I know we're talking about individuals, and everyone is different, and we want to be nice, and we want to give people chances, but know that this is your life and your heart at stake as well. So we do need to have a little bit of discretion and discernment around dating. I know people who want to be careful with who they're dating, so they prefer to chat to get to know someone. I feel that the best way to get to know someone, besides the chatting, because you don't know whether they're lying or whether they are more relaxed and they have more time to craft their message, that they may come across a certain way to you, maybe more friendly, more open-minded, more fun, because that's the perception they want to project. And so you want to meet the person in the flesh so that you can really see if there's chemistry, or whether that you guys can even get along with talking, whether the person is a good listener, whether the person can communicate what they mean to say. I think these things are important. So I met several people who are very, very careful, and this is not men or women, but men and women also say the same thing, which is some people just want to keep chatting, and you chat and chat and chat, and you're actually putting in a lot of time. So eventually when the person turns out not to be a right fit, or the person suddenly stops responding, you do end up feeling empty, lonely, sad. And that's because you've invested more than what you were truly comfortable to invest. And so there were people that I know of, they chat and chat for weeks because they want to be careful. So chatting is not and shouldn't be a replacement of really getting to know someone in person. And so I suggest you ask these 3 questions in a nice way, move them through the funnel as quickly as possible. And if you feel that this is a potential person that you want to get to know more, then this is where you can exchange numbers and possibly arrange to meet. And if you arrange to meet someone, try to meet them in a public place, of course, the first time, for coffee or tea, but not a full meal like lunch or dinner, because there's always that dicey thing about who pays. And you don't want to be imposing on the person, buy you an expensive lunch, and then they pressurize you for sex. That can happen, or resentment because you feel stuck talking to this person for longer than you would like. So a coffee can be something very quick, coffee or drinks after work, okay, but not like a full meal. That's my personal opinion. If you really like someone, then you want to continue, you can always extend the date, or you can arrange to meet another time. Try to pace yourself. Don't do too much too soon, too quickly, because people show their true colors over time. For instance, somebody I was with for a coffee date was immediately pressurizing me to go over his place so that we can be more relaxed. So I said no, and I explained why. And I also said no to going over to his place before we even met for coffee. So this person was constantly pushing my boundaries 3, 4 times until I got really fed up during the date. And that's when I said, you don't seem to understand what no means, and you're constantly pushing my boundaries, and I don't like it. The person eased off, but subsequently, we actually didn't continue the date because this person just does not seem to respect boundaries. Sure, you will say, oh, but this person is such a good catch, earns a good job and seems so nice and has his own apartment and car and blah, blah, blah. These things that makes a person seem successful doesn't cover the fact that this person doesn't respect your boundaries. A person who doesn't respect your boundaries, person who doesn't respect who you are and where you're at, it's not going to be a good person to be with, whether friend or otherwise. So this is my advice to you. So I shared 3 questions to ask when seeking a long-term partner, and also some of my views relating to online dating. And I'm sure that there are many other questions that I haven't answered because, I've been talking for about 14 minutes now. So I'll end here and make other videos. So if you have questions, you can always post your question below, and I will answer them, share from my personal perspective, because many people have spoken to me about dating online, and also I have personally also tried these apps, so I have my own opinion and views about them. So yeah, let's have a dialogue around it, and post your comment below. This is Martha of Eros Coaching.